I took the test and I was so confident that this is going to be negative. There's no way I'm like getting pregnant so far. But then going into labor and delivering, like I'm more scared about the breastfeeding. Like there was a phase where I wanted to lose weight so bad, I wasn't eating and I was falling sick. I have a different level of appreciation for like women in general right now, knowing what our body can do.
On today's episode of the Kids Stop Press podcast, we have someone who's, of course, a brilliant content creator who's carved her own path. She's an entrepreneur, soon-to-be mother, and a debutante in the podcasting space. This is going to be our first podcast ever. I'm so excited. It's for Kids Stop Press. Juhi, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm so excited and you're looking gorgeous.
Thank you.
And after speaking to her just barely for 5 minutes, I realized that she was only 14 when I delivered my first child. So I'm really feeling like a dinosaur. But what the heck, I have more experience.
Yeah.
Okay, super. Yeah. You're looking gorgeous.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Good, and thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I feel like this was like the perfect podcast to start my podcasting journey with, because like I'm about to literally pop any minute.
Right. Are you anxious?
Yes and no, honestly. It's been pretty chill, like my whole pregnancy so far.
Touch wood.
It's been very like, I've kind of not overthought it. So there's also a point where I feel like I don't know what I'm doing at this point. So like there's no reason for me to be anxious and scared. I'm just kind of taking it as it comes.
Yeah.
So I'm quite okay. I'm quite zen.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good space to be in.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your childhood, family. How did you get into the creator space?
I grew up a very pampered kid. My brother and I are 11 years apart. So he was also like a father figure at home almost. And then with time, he's like my best friend. So, I grew up super pampered. My parents traveled a lot for work. So, my parents got to work literally. My mom was back on, flights traveling for work right from when I was 3-4 months old. So, I was pretty much raised by my grandmom and my bua, who's unmarried. So, she's like literally my second mom. I've grown up in a very tight, close, protected family environment. And childhood was amazing. I've had a proper childhood where I went down to play every day, came home, ate, slept early, went to school. Like it was like a proper, I was very like inclined towards sports. So I did all of that. Very pampered because I was like the youngest in my family up until now, till my niece was born. My niece is 8 now, who's very close to me. She's like literally like my first baby. So up until my niece, I was literally always the youngest, so always very pampered. And yeah, childhood was great. Like it was.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a creator? What were like the stepping stones into?
So funnily, like when I started this thing, like the creator, it wasn't a job.
Yeah.
It is something that people did for fun.
Yeah.
Right. So I started working at the age of 18. I started my career as an intern at Grazia, and I remember I was offered a job there because I was so good at it, and I loved doing what I did. But I wanted to kind of do something of my own. I was always like a kid who wanted to have a business or do something that was my own, and I kind of realized after interning at Grazia that working under someone is not my thing. So I decided to go to London. I did my master's in buying and merchandising, came back, wanted to start a clothing brand, and that's how actually the whole idea of creating content happened. Because I was like, if I create content, I'll have an audience to whom I can market my brand to.
You almost preempted
exactly
how his life is going to be.
Yeah, so it was a very strategic move for me to start content creation. But little did I know that would really pick up. And the brand kind of took a backseat then, because the content creation bit just like picked up and it literally became a job. And I remember like 2-3 months into creating content, someone approached me and they wanted me to work with them and they offered me money for it, and I was like, wait, I'm going to get paid to do this. So yeah, I kind of figured, I kind of discovered the job, and that's how it started.
Tell me, as a kid, did you hate being, or did you always wonder, why am I so tall?
I actually wasn't tall.
Like always, like school में होता है कि जो सबसे लंबे बच्चे हैं वो पीछे जाओ, like go back to the school.
So school में I wasn't tall. I literally like shot up, I think after 11th, 12th grade. And I kind of felt like being tall was one of the things that I really loved. I always, because I don't know. I just like being tall.
Yeah.
And in fact, growing up, I was on the chubbier side, you know.
Okay, I really need to know now. How did that happen?
So I loved my McDonald's, and that's how I became like super chubby. And then eventually I got onto this fitness journey and I started losing the weight. And I felt like being lean and tall was kind of just helped.
Yeah.
Because you also love dressing up and clothes look great that way. So
Yeah. Tell me your journey from then, from 22 to now. Like, how has it been? What were key milestones that you feel like really proud of?
Yeah.
And
so firstly, I feel like I've grown up, with time as a creator. And as I said, I was a very shy kid doing this. And with time, I've kind of become very comfortable in the public.
Sorry, I'm interrupting, but was it being shy and being a creator where you didn't have to really talk, but you had to do something that you enjoyed or you were more comfortable? Was it like a hand in glove fit? Like, okay, this is great, I don't need to talk, but the dressing and all of that can camouflage
So I'll tell you what, back in the day, photos were all that we did, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
With time, videos came into the picture, and like I didn't sign up for that, but like that's where social media went towards, and I feel with time you just adapt.
Yeah.
So and luckily, like, because our job involves so many events and there's a lot of socializing that goes on, like with time you just kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
So yes, I was shy, but like with time I feel like I kind of warmed up to it. And
right. But it was never like a good filter, because you're like, okay, in this profession I don't need to talk, or I can just cheat the camera.
No, but I kind of grew up to loving it.
Okay.
So I don't mind it now. I kind of love how the job involves being so social and like doing these events, and like I love every bit of it. And I've always said, like, back in the day, I remember I would wake up at 7 in the morning, get dressed, go for these shoots, and that these shoots were just like organic content.
Yeah.
And I always told myself and I told my family that the day I don't enjoy doing this, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And till date, I've not had a day where I feel like I'm not motivated enough to do what I do.
Right.
So the fact that I am one of those few people who literally like loves what I do for a living, I'm very grateful for it. And yeah, I think I love every part of it. I mean, I started at 22. Things were very different back in the day. As I said, being a content creator didn't really exist as a job. It was just as a hobby. I remember so many times I told people that, when people ask you, okay, so what do you do? And I'm like, I'm a content creator. They're like, okay, but like, what do you actually do?
Shit, I thought I was the only one who got that question.
No.
Like, people would say, acha, but actually karti kya
yeah,
ho?
like, well, how do you make a living? I'm like, this is what I do.
Juhi, was there when you're thinking of having a baby, was that a joint decision between you and your partner? How did that come about? Were there insecurities?
I mean, so my partner and I, we've completed 15 years together. So we literally like...
In this generation, in this day and age, guys, she really deserves like a round of applause.
No, I feel like we've grown up as best friends, however corny that may sound, but it is what it is. And we've really like grown up together. And I remember, and we've been in a long distance also 5 years. So like, I remember having these conversations with him as teenagers that, oh, we're going to have a family one day and what will we name our child? So it's all like very sweet. And because we've done everything together, we've traveled the world together from a very young age, I feel like this was the next thing that we really wanted to do. And also like there's no right timing for this, right?
Yeah. I'm so glad someone said it.
Yeah, like for like the thing is, this wasn't a planned pregnancy, if I'm being very honest. I wanted to kind of plan a family in the next 1 or 2 years, but again, like I'm glad it happened this way, because you're never going to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it happened, Siddharth was super ecstatic and I was just like, a little scared as well, but I'm glad it happened the way it did.
Yeah, but it's very normal and okay for a woman to feel that, because it's your body, right? Yeah. It's everything, like how much ever we talk about equal parenting or both, it's a combined, it's a joint pregnancy, and you say, okay, congratulations, you all are pregnant, right? Yeah. We can go to that extent, but what a woman goes through is absolutely nothing what a man.
I have a different level of appreciation for like women in general right now. Knowing what our body can do.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Trust me, that's going to only quadruple.
Yeah.
after you hold your baby in your hands, because you'll actually realize, oh my God, like I couldn't have done this. Is this my butt product?
I like literally every day I look at my bump and I'm like, oh my God, I'm making a baby. Like, what?
Yeah, it's magical.
It's
So from the time you feel like, okay, wow, I delivered this, to till your kids are teenagers and you're like, wow, I delivered this. It's just gonna be
it's so special.
Different roller coaster. But tell me, how was everybody's reaction in the family? Like, were they?
Family was super excited. So the thing is, like, they weren't expecting this from me. Like, especially like I think both our parents.
Why?
Like they see I'm a very like career-driven, person, and they thought that I would want to give it more time before I.
How old are you, Juhi?
I turned 30.
Okay.
So my parents and Siddharth's parents thought that I'll probably give it a couple of more years, and Siddharth and I just got married. Like, it's been 2 years. So like that whole family pressure had not started, where people were asking that, okay, when are you all planning and all that had not started. They thought of giving us a couple of more years. So for them it was a big surprise. Like, this is the last thing they were expecting. And we planned like a sweet little like surprise for them, where we wrote like letters and like gave them. So like this is not what they were expecting. And when they found out, they were just like, oh my God.
Right.
Everyone was so excited. Everyone had like tears and all of that. So like the whole shebang happened.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell me, how's the pregnancy been? How did you? But let me actually take a step back. When you got to know, and obviously Siddharth was at a different level of excitement. You were at a different level of excitement. What were you thinking?
Let me tell you how it happened first. How I found out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this wasn't expected, as I told you, right? I was on birth control, and I went off it because I have PCOD, and they put me on this medicine, and I had to go off it to like give my body a break. And then just like that, I got knocked off. So I wasn't expecting it. I felt like something was different with my body, so I decided to take a test. I remember it's a Saturday, so Siddharth went to work. I was alone at home. I took the test and I was so confident that this is going to be negative. There's no way I'm like getting pregnant so fast, because I also had PCOD. So I had this like thing in my head that to conceive, it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that easy. So I took the test. I got a call. And when I was on the call, I just happened to look at the test and it was positive. I was like, let me call you back. And I remember I felt like I saw a ghost. I was like, bro, like, what is going on? I took one more test. That was positive. I was like, I was still in denial. I remember then I called Siddharth. I was like, come home right now. And then he found out. He was super excited. But I was just like, no, I don't think this is true. It's not possible.
Yeah.
Then we went for a blood test. We went for everything. I was still in denial. And then I finally believed that I was pregnant when we went and saw a doctor and I heard the heartbeat for the first time. Then I was like, whoa, like, this is happening.
Right.
So, I was, it took me a while to process it and accept it. And after I did accept it, finally, it was all very exciting.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that there is no woman who ever takes one pregnancy test.
Yeah.
Let me confess that. We all do it multiple times, and then it is signed, stamped, sealed with a blood test.
Yeah.
Because
But even then I didn't believe it. With
so
the blood
you are
test
one
also,
step aage.
Yeah, I was like, how is it possible? It's not possible. Then we went and saw the doctor. I heard the heartbeat, and then I was like, I remember like both of us had like tears and all of that. Sid and I, and then I was like, okay, yeah, it's happened.
Was it as real as you had seen it on Reels?
So that's the thing, like I wasn't in that whole baby zone. So like I wasn't seeing baby reels. So I didn't know.
Instagram's listening, right?
Dude, like right now you go on my Instagram and all you will see is like baby reels. And if you go to my husband and I, like we keep having these stupid, like we keep sending each other reels on DMs. Like that's all you will see. We're just sending like cute baby reels to each other. So like that's all I'm doing these days. But before that, it was like none of that like was on my feed.
Yeah.
So I didn't know like what to expect and the kind of reels that exist. Now I do.
Right. And tell me, having known that you have PCOD, was there a thought that I should do it sooner than I can?
So that's the thing. I actually went and met a gynec just like 2 months before I got to know I was pregnant for PCOD because I had to go off the medicine. But yeah, I knew that it's not going to be easy because that's what I'd heard. But my gynac said that that's not the case. It's like your PCOD is not as severe, so it'll be fine. So yeah, I did think that, I did hear a lot that you should kind of plan sooner because with PCOD it can be a little complicated, but I didn't like think about it too much.
I love how you guys don't overthink it, how you're like
I feel like there's no time. Like I feel like I'm so happy that with my job and everything, like things are so busy.
Yeah.
I've not had the time to like think about a lot of the other things that people overthink.
Yeah.
Of, like, so I feel like I was just so occupied and consumed with my job.
Right. And tell me, what happened after? Were you okay in your first trimester? Were you, and how did, walk me through each of the trimesters.
You know, I was very lucky this pregnancy, like touch wood, but it's been very smooth. It's been a very positive pregnancy. I literally don't know where the 9 months have gone by. I've not thrown up even once.
Touch wood.
Like, throughout my pregnancy. But my first trimester, the main symptom was like dizziness. I used to get very dizzy in the morning. Little bit of weakness, but that's about it. Like it was everything. Like everything was as per usual. I was working as per usual. Like there wasn't a major change in like the way I functioned. So yeah, it was pretty smooth.
And because you travel a lot,
yeah.
How did you like kind of wait off those requests or invites or shoots?
I didn't. I was traveling like right till the end. Like my last travel was when I was 34 weeks pregnant. I went to Paris Fashion Week. Everyone thought I was crazy, but my family and my husband were very supportive because I got a great opportunity with a certain brand, and you know I was like, should I just do it? Because my doctor was also like, you can travel, just be careful.
Yeah.
So I was like, if my doctor's okay, my husband's okay, my family's okay, why not?
Yeah.
So I was traveling like right till the end, till the flight. I was allowed to get on a flight. I was traveling.
Yeah, but in the first trimester, did you travel as well?
I did. In fact, I got a very so the day I told our parents that we were pregnant, I also got a call from H&M for the Mugler collab, and I flew to New York with H&M for Mugler. And I was like, I don't want to miss out on this. And normally, like during your first trimester, it's a little delicate, so they don't, you know, suggest. They normally say that don't be like super active. But I was careful, but I still did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And tell me, then how did the second trimester progress for you? Like
second trimester was very smooth. Again, I was traveling a lot. Like I literally was traveling as per usual. We did so many work trips. I was obviously being very careful, but
you're lucky that he was with you always.
I think that is where it makes a difference. My husband really like tried to be there wherever he could, so he did a lot of these trips with me. So that was also kind of reassuring to the family because they know that there's someone who's taking care of me while I'm like on these work trips.
Yeah.
So that way I'm quite lucky that, you know.
Yeah. And then tell me, how's it been now?
Now is a little difficult because now I'm literally like right at the end. Like I can literally, you know, get
not
into
see your
labor.
toes. Can you not see your toes now?
Yeah, I can't. And my body is so different now. You know, everything feels very different.
Yeah.
I was just telling a friend this morning that I feel heavy. You know, everything is so heavy. Everything's so different. My face looks different. So I feel like suddenly, like after this whole normal, feeling very normal, like, you know, throughout these months, now it feels a little different. So now I feel the need to slow down. So I'm just listening to my body. I'm, you know, doing as much as I can, and yeah, it's like every day is a new day. I keep telling people.
Right. Tell me, for someone who's always been super skinny, who's never had to think or go on a crash diet before wearing a swimsuit, which I'm sure a lot of people must be envious about you. But literally, if you haven't seen how fit she is and she was, and her super hot swimsuit bikini photos, like literally, like if any of us have to do that, we'll have to like be on like a orange
Firstly,
juice
that's
diet.
not true. You know, like as I told you, like I have been through this fitness journey. I was literally like, I weighed 60.
I first met you, I think, at the Nike campaign, and that's, you know, when your posters are all on there, so that's why I was like, wow, this girl is so
that was in
fit.
fact a very big part of my fitness journey. I remember like doing a marathon with Nike, and you know that really made me believe that, oh my god, I can do this. And then I did another one. But yeah, like as I said, back in the day I wasn't, you know, skinny. I really had to work hard for it, and I'm in fact one of those people who can't eat whatever and get away with it. Like if I eat a cake, I need to work out for it like the next day.
Are you serious?
So otherwise, yeah. So I put on weight on my stomach. For people, like, you know, people put on weight on their face or like their arms, the hips. For me also, I have certain areas where I put on weight.
I can't believe Juhi Godambe is saying that.
I'm telling you, and I'm also not going to deny that I've worked very hard for, like, you know, my fitness.
Yeah.
Like I've been quite disciplined from like a very young age to like work out and eat right, and I feel with time I've kind of adapted to that lifestyle.
So how did that change happen from being a chubby kid to being this fit and adopting that as a lifestyle? And I'll tell you why I asked that, because you're such a huge influence on so many young girls today, that, you know, it's incredible for them to know that, listen, this lifestyle can only get you this far.
Yeah. I think again, like I kind of understood the importance of that lifestyle at a very young age. I wasn't like a heavy kid, but I was, you know, someone who didn't understand what's good or bad for them. So I grew up eating all kinds of junk foods, and I put on weight. And then I remember there was this incident. I was this kid. I went to this shop in Bandra for clothes with my cousin who was very skinny. And she was trying on these clothes, and I wanted to try them on too. And the shopkeeper literally told me, "ये आप नहीं try कर सकती, ये stretch हो जाएगा." And that, you know, that moment really like stuck with me. I remember going back to the car and crying and telling my mom that, "Mom, why am I fat?" You know, so that really like played with my. And then I realized that, you know, there's no easy way out. You have to work for it. And I had this phase in junior college where I was anorexic because I wasn't eating. So that's also not good, right? Yeah. So I've had phases, and then I've kind of figured what works for me, what doesn't. Then I've been working out, I've been trying to eat right. I love food also. So like if I eat like a heavy meal, the next day I try to make up for it.
But tell me, did you know that you were anorexic, and then how did you catch it young?
Because I wasn't eating. Like there was a phase where I wanted to lose weight so bad. I wasn't eating and I was falling sick. So that also
And your parents figured that out?
Yeah. So like that also I realized, not just my parents, I remember like looking at my photos and going like, oh my god, like this is not okay, you know. So then I kind of then understood that, you know, you can eat, but you can just kind of make better, healthier choices.
Right. And you know, Juhi, that stage of what you faced of anorexia in grade 11, 12 has now come down to grade 6, 7.
Yeah, it's so sad.
Yeah. Sorry, you were saying something.
No, I mean, I just feel like, you know, it's a process. You kind of, you know, figure out what's good for your body with time, and you make mistakes as kids, right?
Yeah.
And then you just learn from them, and that's what happened to me.
Right.
And then I feel like I've always had that fear of going back to, you know, being that chubby kid and feeling the way I did. So even now, like if I indulge, I kind of try to balance it out.
Right.
But like my pregnancy, I've let loose. I'm enjoying. I'm eating all sorts of cakes and cookies. And whenever it's time, I will get back to my fitness.
Yeah, that was actually my question, which is, for someone who's always had this ready bikini body, how do you feel now in your skin where every body part feels like it's not your own?
I'm not gonna lie. It's been...
No, it's tough.
It's been tough off late. I think till like 6 months, 7 months of my pregnancy, I was, you know, managing. But as I told you, I went to Paris Fashion Week right now at 34 weeks pregnant, and I kind of obviously was quite big. And we had to figure out looks very last minute. And I remember wearing outfits that didn't feel like myself. I didn't feel very confident in it. I remember like breaking down and going like nothing fits. And that's okay. But yeah, I've had moments. I've literally had moments where like nothing in my wardrobe fits. Even now, like I literally have like 3 pairs of pants that actually fit.
You know what? You guys are lucky you get pants now your size. We literally used to wear like cotton wool leggings. Like I'm really making this episode sound like I'm a dinosaur, but really that was all. Yeah. That was literally all. Or if someone was traveling and you'd be like, ek mother ke ka jeans leke aao please, or whatever.
No, it's great that, you know, now we can kind of experiment. Although I've not bought a single piece of maternity clothing throughout my pregnancy, I've tried to like, you know, work around my style, like still feel like whatever I wear, I want to feel like myself. But of course, there are things that you can't have control over. So, you know, there are days when I don't like what I'm wearing, and it's okay.
Yeah. But tell me, how hard is it? Tell me, how hard is it for you to embrace this? Like, do you get anxiety, feeling like, will I ever get back? Like, do you look back, and especially because your life is so visual, do you look back at those old photos and like go back telling your partner, dude, I'm never going to get back to
Just
this?
yesterday, I saw like it was Halloween night, and like we went out. We went last year to the Halloween party and had this tiny little outfit on, and I was like, oh my god, like that was me. It doesn't feel like myself. But also, I have to tell you, like I don't think I have a doubt in my. I don't think I kind of doubt the fact that I will go back to feeling good about myself, because like for me, fitness is very important. So like looking a certain way is not as important, but feeling good is very important to me. So whenever I'm ready, I know I'm going to get back to working out, and I feel like mentally I will be in a good place with my body eventually.
Amazing. I'm so happy and so that you're so confident about it.
Yeah.
And tell me, do you feel like there will be pressure, there'll be undue pressure that you're going to put on yourself to get that back?
Yes and no. I think the first couple of months I don't want to think about how I look. It's literally going to be all about my baby. But eventually it also has to be about myself. And as I said, I'm not worried.
But do you see like other people?
It's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
I know, I'm not saying it's going to be a very easy, smooth journey where, I'm back to the way I looked. But I know I'm going to work hard for it and it'll happen.
Right.
Yeah.
I really love your optimism and positivity. Let me tell you that when you will come back from the hospital or in the hospital, the first thing I did was like I got onto the weighing scale in the hospital after giving birth.
I
do
hate
not
going on the
make
weighing
that
scale.
mistake.
Before I got pregnant, I don't remember the last time I went on a weighing scale.
Yeah.
The only time I've been going on these weighing scales is like since my pregnancy.
Yeah.
The doctor has to keep a check of your weight.
Yeah.
I hate the
How much weight
scale.
have you put on?
I've put on like quite a bit.
You can't beat me.
No, I've put on quite a bit. Like I started out at like, I don't know, I don't want to get into numbers, but I've put on quite a bit.
Come on, give me the number. Tell me.
So I weighed like I think around 53, 54 kgs before, like when I got pregnant, and now I've put on almost like 15 kgs.
Dude, she's nowhere in the picture. I put on 22 kilos. There's nothing to be proud of.
And that's
and the
okay.
second one, I realized that boss, ye weight bahut. Matlab, it's like the slow is, it's like less than a bullock. Like it's slower than a bullock cart. So the second one, then I said, bas, bahut ho gaya. It's only 12 kilos and let's just stay with that.
Yeah.
Because it's...
No, and also doctors, like they kind of tell you what is, how much you should put on.
They tell you, but the putting on is not in their hands.
In your control, absolutely.
No, it's in your control, not in their hands.
I'm telling you, with me this time, since I got pregnant, I wasn't, trying to. I was having fun. I'm like, this is the only time I'm going to eat without feeling guilty. I'm going to do it, boss.
Yeah, you should just do it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But tell me, when you see other people, and you see their journey on the gram, how easy. And them bouncing back, seeing them show their authentic self. Is there anxiety? Am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to bounce back? What will happen to the feed? Like how will...
See, I get very inspired by people. And, there are certain, like Gabriella, she's recently given birth and I love her fitness journey. So I really get inspired by people like them and I look up to them. And whenever it's my time, I'll probably kind of get inspired by them and do the same thing, but it doesn't intimidate me.
You're very comfortable in your skin.
I feel like why not? Like there's no other way. You either take it in a positive stride or you crib about something that's not in your control. What's the point?
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm just like having a blast being pregnant, honestly. Yeah.
That's amazing. But have you, and especially for someone whose life is so public, people are really interested in every single aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Have you thought about what parts of it are you going to share and what parts of it are you not going to share?
Again, I'm not an overthinker, that's the thing. So whatever feels right, I will share. Even when it comes to the baby, like right now, I feel like I don't want to share too much of the baby, at least in the initial years or initial months or whatever. But whatever feels right, I will. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
You kind of have to be in the moment.
Right.
And if you feel like you want to share something, you share it. It's okay.
You're completely not overthinking like what you're gonna put out.
I've not planned it out as yet. So if you ask me now, I don't even know, like, certain people have the baby announcement thing like planned out.
Yeah.
I don't have anything planned out. I don't even know if I want a camera when I'm giving birth, like around me. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Does that create panic last minute? Like, you're like, okay, I need somebody.
No. Like in fact, even my wedding, no, like when I got married, like I wasn't very obsessive about creating content.
Yeah.
Like literally, my wedding photography and videography team were like, listen, you're like the first influencer that we've shot with who doesn't want content. I'm like, yeah, because it's not fair to my husband. It's his moment too.
Yeah.
You know, so while I'm like doing this because it's my job, I want him also to have a good time.
Right.
So I'm gonna like pay attention to all of those things only so much, and after a point, I love being in the moment. So I'm gonna.
You know,
embrace that.
it's so refreshing to hear this, because otherwise I just feel like everybody has like a 3-part, 4-part series of their birth and plan, and how did the first 24 hours go and how did the next
Which
40
is also okay, and I have so much respect for them that firstly you're going through so much mentally and physically, and on top of that you're kind of, because even planning content and executing it is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
It's not easy. So to be able to do that when you're already going through so much is amazing.
Right.
But I don't know if I want to put myself through that. You know?
Yeah.
I kind of just want to focus on like what's important in that moment.
Right. No, and I have so much respect that you said that you know, this content is not only mine, and I have to have the consent of my spouse, because it's his journey as well. And likewise, you know, at Kids Top Press, we always say that we ask our children for all sorts of, and we teach them all forms of consent, right? Whether it's physical, it's emotional, right? Like we'll ask them like, okay, nobody should touch you here, and nobody should touch you there, and nobody should do this. But the one consent that parents often forget to ask for is, you know, sharing their identity, right? And for me, I've been 15 years, you know, my kids are 15 and my elder daughter's 15, and I've been in the space for almost a decade. Like I've never shared their pictures.
Yeah.
And when I look back now, and I feel happy, because I can't imagine her. Like the other day she came back from school and somebody said that, you know, somebody mentioned that like they found somebody, friend's picture in her diaper or whatever on the internet, and it became a joke in the class. And then she got so this thing, she's like, the first thing she did was she came home and Googled her name, and you know, she's like, thank God there are no pictures of me on the internet. Because as parents we forget that what could be the repercussions. Like they might not even object till they're like about 10 or 11 or whatever, but when they have access to the internet and they find out these, you know, compromising pictures of themselves in diapers and bathtubs and whatever, they're not going to love you for it, especially when they reach the teenage years, and you'll have to bear the brunt of it. And of course some kids are okay and some are not okay, but you know, it's a process. But I think asking children for their consent is something that is just so, like you said with your partner, right? I think it's so respectful that you maintain that, because otherwise we just take all the people around us for granted.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. And also you have to be very mindful, no? Like for example, my niece, she's literally literally my first child.
Yeah.
And she's grown up with me, right? So she's been a big part of my social media. People love her on my social media. Like I've literally met people so many times and they're like, oh, how's Diva? Like it's almost like they know her.
Yeah.
But also I'm very mindful about what I share, you know, like I don't want to share, you know, what school she goes to, and like I don't want to share like certain things that literally come down to like her security.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful. And
oh yeah, we have some parents who kind of send us pictures on Kids Top Press, and they say, okay, my child wants to be a model, and these are the details or whatever. And we'll have some parents who will post up, congratulations, my child is now in grade 4, and then they'll put the school location, they'll put the class name, and I'm like, what are we doing, right?
You have to be like very mindful, especially when it comes to children.
And people putting their location on, okay, this is where my residence is, because they'll tag the residence. And I'm like, can we just be a little more vigilant? And I'm sure being in the space you get the...
Absolutely. In fact, even my viewers, no, like so many of them are still quite young. Like I have like my viewers have grown with me literally. Like I had people who were teenagers and now they are kind of growing up with me and getting married and stuff like that. You have to be very mindful about what you post, about what you say, because like they take what you say very seriously.
And tell me, I've realized with this conversation that you're clearly someone who goes with the flow. Have you ever wondered that, you know, what is the first thing that I'm going to do? How am I going to plan this whole thing? How's the baby going to travel? Because your job requires you to travel a lot. So have you thought the whole ecosystem and the village around you in terms of
I have. We've definitely had conversations about this, my parents and I. And I am very lucky in a way that I have literally like an army who's going to look after the baby as well with me. Like my mother-in-law, my mom, my bua, my sister-in-law. After I deliver, I'm going to go live with my parents for a bit. So there I literally have an army waiting to like take care of the child.
Yeah.
And that's how I grew up, right? Like my mom went to work straight, like right after a couple of months, and I had my dadi. So I'm not worried. Like I have I have my family also to like help me out with the baby.
Amazing.
It should be okay.
Tell me, you also have walked the ramp, flaunting your baby bump. How was that experience?
I mean, I walked the ramp literally when I didn't even know I was pregnant.
Okay.
But I've done a lot of like, I've done fashion weeks with my bump out. And it was amazing. I felt like I was embracing the bump.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was obviously like very challenging to figure out, to dress in a way that still feels like me and to make me feel confident in what I'm wearing. That was a challenging part. But like it was a lot of fun.
Right. And is it not overwhelming to see other people in a different size than you when you're at these work events?
No, because I am pregnant. I do realize that. So I'm like, I'm meant
Juhi, how are you not so insecure? Yeah. Because your space breeds so much of insecurity.
Because I'm telling you, I had a blast being pregnant. I literally had the best time being pregnant, and I never thought that my pregnancy would be so fun. But literally, like I've embraced every aspect of it, and I mean, being a certain size comes with pregnancy, and that's normal. So like, why would I feel insecure about that? So I feel like I've had a blast.
Okay, I should burst Juhi's bubble by saying that pregnancy is the easiest part of parenting.
Yeah, that I'm aware of.
Okay, what are some of the myths that you want to debunk through your voice on every platform about body shaming and the pressures of staying in shape that new moms go through?
The myths. I feel like firstly, everyone feels insecure about their body, no matter what shape and size. I've never met a girl, no matter how perfect she is,
who's happy
with the way she looks. So being insecure, firstly, is okay. I mean, right now I might sound like, oh, like everything's great, and I'm like, of course, I also have moments when I feel insecure. So like, firstly, the biggest myth is the fact that, you know, there are people who are perfectly happy with the way they look. You're never going to be happy, and that's absolutely okay. Yeah, so I think that is the number one myth I want to debunk, that social media can be so, it is very deceiving, right? Like you see all these happy videos, and you need to realize that people only share happy moments on social media. Nobody shares like moments when they're feeling down and low.
Yeah.
So everyone on social media are like humans, they're all normal, and everyone goes through like different emotions just like you. So yeah, the biggest myth is the fact that there are certain people who are perfectly happy with the way they look, because that's not the case.
Right.
Everyone has insecurities.
Right. Let me also, for someone like you, is there a thought process in terms of what content am I going to share after the baby is born? Like, will there be a temptation that, you know, currently you share fashion, beauty, lifestyle? Yeah. Have you thought that, yes, I want to do baby-led content, no, I don't want to do baby-led content?
In fact, I had a very like detailed conversation with my team right after I got pregnant, and even now recently, where we were talking about the direction of the content that's gonna, you know, and what's gonna happen over the couple of months when I'm kind of taking some time off of work.
Are you taking time off?
I will, yeah, definitely. I don't know how long that will be. That could be 40 days, it could be 2 months, I don't know. Whatever my baby and I need. But what's going to be important is the fact that I want people to take me seriously for who I am and what I do. I don't want my page to become a baby page. There's nothing wrong with that, but then I've worked very hard over the decade almost to, like, you know, be known as a fashion creator. So I still want people to take me seriously for that. So, I mean, most of the content on my feed is going to be fashion-led. It's going to be about my business. And little bits I will be sharing of the baby, like I do about my family. The baby is the new addition to it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think I'm going to go in a direction where my content is going to be like baby-led.
Yeah. Are you someone who's very scripted with life, or complete?
Not at all.
Not at all.
In fact, there are like times when, like even now, right? Like I had like I think I was told that there were some questions that were sent to me, and I was like, I don't want to read anything. Like just like the direction of today's podcast, and I was like, I don't want to read. I want to go with the flow.
Yeah.
So that's just how I am.
That's so contrary to how creators work, where we're very meticulous about how the look should be, how the plan, how the set should be, how it would, like this is my hair.
When it comes to content, yes, like especially when it's like content with brands, things are like way more planned out. But when it's like personal, I feel like you don't need to script those things. You can just like go with the flow.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, like quick rapid fire. What are the things that you're most apprehensive about when the baby arrives?
I'm very apprehensive about the baby going out in the world and getting exposed to so much, because I'm so scared. Like, you can't control certain things in life, and I'm so scared about like the kind of people and the kind of things the baby's gonna get exposed to.
Yeah.
So I'm scared about that.
I would think it would be the delivery, like how will the delivery be? Like, I incessantly watch like so many delivery videos with my last trouble.
I actually haven't been like I don't want to like know too much, because the more I see and the more I hear, I feel like I'm going to get nervous.
Yeah.
So, again,
I watched one and I got super scared and then I shut it.
Exactly.
So then I'm like after that.
In fact, so many of my friends who've had babies, like they kind of try to tell me their like story. I'm like, listen, I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I do want to know, because like the more I hear about it, the more I'm going to be scared.
And do you do any prenatal classes and all of that?
I've been doing Pilates.
Okay.
So like whatever works for you, right? So like I've been very active in general, and I've been doing Pilates. And I did like those prenatal classes where they kind of tell you about labor and breastfeeding and newborn care and all of that. I did a class with my husband as well.
Yeah. Are you going to breastfeed your baby?
I want to.
Was there like a pro and against that people advised you for or against or anything?
Not really, but I've kind of read about it and I know that it's good for my child. So I definitely want to do whatever is the best for the baby. So I will try and, breastfeed my child for however long I can.
Trust me, it'll be the easiest thing you've ever done.
Yeah?
Yeah, 100%.
I want to, but I've also read that it's, in the initial days, it's very challenging to figure it out.
But there are so many experts that are available that will just make it a breeze and just
So that's in fact one thing that I'm very scared about. Breastfeeding, more than going into labor and delivering, like I'm more scared about the breastfeeding part.
You are such a eternal optimist. I tell this to everyone, like breastfeeding is just a mind game. Yeah. Like if you tell yourself I can do it, no matter what comes your way, you will be able to do it. And guys, you all are in a stage where there are hundreds of lactation consultants available. Yeah. So I think it just makes it so much easier.
Like, now there's so much, like we have access to so much information.
Yeah.
We have access to so much help, like especially in the cities.
Yeah.
So that's kind of amazing.
100%. Yeah. What have you Googled the most about during your pregnancy?
I've just been Googling symptoms, right? Like whenever I feel a certain way, I Google to like know if this is normal. Yeah. Like just last night, I was having these insane cramps and I was like, listen, am I going into labor?
Yeah.
So like we had to Google and like understand, because I don't even know what contractions feel like.
Yeah.
Like I asked my gynac that day and I was like, listen, but like what is it going to feel like? She's like, you'll know.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean you'll know?
Trust me, it's pain you've never felt before.
Yeah, so she's like, you will know when it's time. And I'm like, how would I know? So last night I had cramps, so I just wasn't sure if it's time or not.
Oh my God, she's really taking me back 15 years. Thank you, Juhi. Thank you for being here. I'm wishing you all the very best. You're such a chiller for what I thought. I literally thought like her, the way she conducts herself, the way she carries herself, I think maybe the height was intimidating.
Oh God.
Where I almost felt like...
That's the first, I've never heard.
Like, I don't know, I thought, I don't know why I assumed that, you're quite a perfectionist, of course, when it comes to your work, but I just thought like you would have everything meticulously planned, but I love how you're so go with the flow, and really parenting is a lot about that. Yeah. Because if you don't go for the flow, because now there's literally like only one boss in the house. Yeah. So you're literally going to know how that feels like, because you'll not be able to control the most obvious things, and you'll be like, hey, can I just eat, or can I just poop, or can I
Yeah.
just pee? Can I just have a shower? It'll be like
Yeah.
that bad.
Yeah.
But I wish you all the best. I wish you
you.
lots of nights of sleep. Laleel, I think I'm giving her all the right sort of thing, but I wish you really lots of good health, a very easy labor, and lots of nights of sleep. I think that's all you need to get through.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for doing
having
this,
me.
and I'm so
this
glad.
was so much fun.
Yes, likewise.